You know what the worst advice is? Don't worry about money. Follow your passion and money will take care of itself. Well, it turns out for most people that's not true. Money doesn't take care of itself. A lack of money can be debilitating and stressful. And a lack of money affects your housing, your health, and your longevity. Turns out the top 10% of Americans are expected to live 12 years longer than the bottom 10% in terms of income. And from the top 1% of income to the bottom 1% of income, the difference is 15 years. That's a bigger impact than smoking a pack of cigarettes a day or drinking 18 alcoholic drinks a week. The best book that I read in 2022 to help you get on to a sound financial footing and become a millionaire and live longer is Broke Millennial by Erin Lowry. Broke Millennial is full of personal stories that illustrate financial problems that I think are very helpful to almost anybody. And I've taken 5 lessons from the book that I think will be helpful to you. People talk about money a lot, but they do it in all the wrong ways.
Look at my watch, look at my car, look at my house.
It's much better to talk frankly about money and to signal to people that money is important to you, but it's not what your life's all about. Discussing money for a lot of families is taboo. You want to set your children up for financial success. You can talk to your children about how much money you make, how much things cost, and the choices you make to save. Similarly, don't be embarrassed to discuss money with your friends. I remember going to a restaurant with a friend who knew he was going to split the bill with me and went crazy ordering sushi and drinks. If I had read this book, I would have had the confidence to say to him, I can't afford to split this with you. I haven't ordered as much. I haven't drank and eaten as much. Let's figure something out. And yes, that might have been problematic for the friendship, but forcing me to subsidize his sushi addiction isn't fair either. And talking about money will help you develop the right friends group. Habits are contagious. If your friends exercise, you're likely to exercise. If they smoke and drink, you're likely to smoke and drink too. And if you have good money habits, and your friends do, it'll be easier for everyone to follow them. Lesson number 2 is that you have to have the right attitude about money. And she characterized it into 3 groups. The first is YOLO FOMO. YOLO, you only live once. FOMO, fear of missing out. That's using money to say, drinks are on me, life of the party, bon vivant. The most extreme examples of this may be athletes who suddenly come into huge amounts of money with no training to deal with it. George Best was a soccer player in the 1960s, and he earned a tremendous amount of money. I spent a lot of money on booze, fast cars, and birds, and the rest I squandered. What could he have squandered it on? So the YOLO FOMO people really don't think about the future. They're spending on the here and now. And yes, they're having a great time. It is fun to spend money, but they're not thinking about the cost of spending the money now because they won't have savings for the future. The next group of people are called the guarded optimists. These are people who understand they're going to need to save money and figure they'll do it in the future when they make more money. These people are a little bit more self-aware about their savings needs than the YOLO FOMO people, but they're not really doing anything to help themselves. Third group is dreaming about retirement, and they may be even too focused on the future and living a little bit too frugally in the present. The optimal path is not all frugal all the time, nor is it, all spending drinks are on me all the time. Really, everything in moderation. And the best way to do that, outside of the lessons here, is to automate your savings so that you can spend the money that you see in your bank account. If you put your money away first, then you're free to, live within the limits of your bank account. And I think that's very workable. One of the biggest takeaways from the book is the huge reward you get from starting saving early, because that's how you'll get more time to compound. Perhaps the greatest example of this is Ronald Read. Ronald Read worked as a gas station attendant and then as a janitor. He never made much money, but he started early, around 22 years old, and saved consistently. When he passed away at 92, he had an estate of almost $8 million. So, what does compounding mean? If you invest $1,000 at 8%, after a year, you'll have $1,080. You leave it alone for another year at 8%, the $1,080 will earn $86.40. So you'll have $1,164.40 instead of just $1,160. That extra money is money your interest earned in the second year. That's compounding. If you start in your 20s and plan to retire in your 60s, that'll give your money 40 years to compound. If you put $1,000 away and let it compound for 40 years at 8%, that $1,000 will turn into almost $22,000 after 40 years. But if you start in your 30s and plan to retire at the same age, that $1,000 will grow into $10,000. And that's just $1,000. The idea is to invest consistently. And if you do, over time, you can develop a very large nest egg. Erin Lowry calls your credit score your report card of life. And it's true, it is, and you'll have to show it more often than you might think. Cardi B says she likes likes men with good credit. So do landlords, employers, and if you want to get a loan or a credit card or a mortgage, you obviously need a good credit score. So there are 5 factors that go into your credit score, but only 2 really matter. One is your payment history. That's 35% of your credit score. You must pay your credit cards on time, at least the minimum amounts. If you fail to do so, your credit score immediately suffers. Second, how much of your credit are you using? The credit rating agencies only want to see you use a little bit of your overall credit. And there's a quick workaround for that. Get more credit. Take out lots of credit cards, ideally with no fees, keep them current, and you'll have plenty of credit to use, and you'll never use too much of your credit. Lesson number 5 is about choosing and using credit cards. And this is, I think, one of the simplest answers to one of the most complex problems people face, because the credit card industry is huge and is constantly trying to seduce customers. Earn money while you spend. Fly first class. It's all a trap. If you go for points and rewards, the credit card industry is trying to get you to overspend and pay interest. Don't fall for it. The one rule with credit cards is no fees. No activation fees, no monthly fees, no minimum fees, no annual fees. And I like to add on to that, no foreign transaction fees. And there's one benefit that I am kind of a sucker for, because I do travel and I do rent cars, and I've dented quite a few, and that is free rental car insurance. I get that with free, no-fee credit cards. I think that's a great perk, but it doesn't really matter. I would never violate rule number 1, no fees for any benefit. Erin Lowry's book is a great practical step-by-step guide to all sorts of financial problems. If you're looking for something a little bit more conceptual, something that goes into the thinking of investors and how people make mistakes with their money, a great book to consider reading is Psychology of Money by Morgan Housel. I found the book really interesting. It told me lots of things I didn't know, even though I've been thinking about money pretty obsessively for about 50 years. So please check out my video on that.